It's Powers of X number 3. Are things still building up nicely? And hey, wait a minute, what happened to House of X number 3? No, no, don't worry. You're in the right order. Hey there, this is Perch. Powers of X number 3. Hickman and Silva back out. How is it keeping going? One thing right out the gate, a lot of people missed this. Yes, there's a reading list in the back, but we had been going House of X, Powers of X, House of X, Powers of X. Last week we had Powers of X number 2. This week it's Powers of X number 3. What happened? Well, this was the intended way the comic was going to be read. I think that it's really building on the momentum. This is a classic example of where Hickman was telling kind of multiple stories in the two different books, and he had momentum in last week's and wanted to keep that momentum in this week. So the stories naturally flow together. House of X, we swapped order. House of X number 3 comes out next week, and then House of X number 4 comes out the week after that, and then we're back into more or less a regular order again. So a lot of stuff going on, but this one more or less concluded kind of this well, I don't want to say concluded, but it basically wrapped up the subplot, which is the ninth life of Moira and the timeline that we were getting into. So there's been some confusion. What was this future timeline that we were dealing with? Well, it's the ninth life. It's not the one we're in now. It's the one that immediately preceded it, and it's basically giving us a lot of the background or the knowledge that Moira is now taking with her into her current life. And so that's where we're at. So, jumping into this comic, it's picking up right where the last one left off. The X-Men are about to stage an suicide mission to retrieve something. And something in this case, jumping to the end, it's data for Moira to reintegrate with herself, that when she dies, she can carry that with her into her next life and stem off the threat of the Phalanx and Nimrod and kind of this infusion of machines. So, to get into this comic, I mean, there's a lot of really kind of cool in-between world building. What we're seeing here is this is a world in which humanity has given up and they've turned themselves over to the Techniarchy or the Phalanx, and they're basically fusing themselves with machines. The X-Men show up, and we're given this really cool kind of the mutants of the ninth life, which is Apocalypse and his four horsemen, which are Wolverine, War, Death, Zorn, Pestilence, which is they're saying kind of a merge of Lorna Dane and Emma Frost. That is Magneto. So that's why he had the green costume going on. That's a Polaris kind of piece, but there's some splicing going on. And then Famine, who's Krakoa and Cypher. And then, the other people that we've been introduced to in this comic. So basically, they're out to stage their assault. Nimrod is talking to some of his partner here, the Sentinel, who is also an evolved version. There's been a couple theories on who this character is. I don't know that it inherently matters too much. It was Karima. It's Karima's got a lot of points of Karima's costume, so not sure if that is the character or not. But Karima being a character, Karima Shapandar. I keep thinking that she had a name beyond Karima, but maybe not. I've been looking for that, but I think it's just Karima, a mega level Sentinel who had been part of the X-Men mythos for a while, and certainly seems like she's part of Hickman's new run. Anyway, she's going back and forth with Nimrod. They're, unperturbed by the X-Men's assault. It looks like a suicide mission, and it certainly is. One of the amazing things about what Hickman's done here, though, is the Sentinel robot kind of Phalanx, Techniarchy threat that has come down. I mean, he is making it look threatening. The joke of the Sentinels is that it had been used and reused so much, and even in the last run, it's like, oh, look, here's some Sentinels. And it's like it poses no threat, no danger to anybody, and it's like, oh, here's some robots for Wolverine to hack up again. And you've lost over the years. We've lost the sense of the robot technology threat, and it makes sense that you've got the humans, you've got the mutants, and you've got technology as kind of three aspects of this whole battle. And so Hickman has restored it to being a threat. And my hope is that as the X-Men continues and as we do a lot of things kind of going forward with the titles and all the different spin-offs. I want to see the Sentinels continue to be a legitimate big threat item. And I think hopefully Hickman's lining all that stuff up. I don't want this 12 issue series to end with the X-Men defeating the robots once and for all. No, we need to have these dynamics, I think, to play against. So while the kind of ragtag group of X-Men are distracting in their suicide mission, what's going on? Apocalypse leads Wolverine and Krakoa Cypher to kind of the heart of the machine. And basically, that triggers Nimrod. He goes down to try and stop it. They retrieve the crystal of memories or data. Nimrod comes in and just blows the living hell out of everything. And it's a one, like I said before. This is Hickman restoring the threat to these characters. I mean, Nimrod's another one that has been used as a kind of a joke, throwaway character. Not recently, but in the past. I mean, the dangers are real. I've said a million times before, heroes and hero comics need strong, powerful, intimidating, how can you possibly beat them villains. If it doesn't have that, the threat is gone. It isn't just and that's true at every single comic book. It's not just superhero cape books. Some people hear that and they think, oh, he's talking about villains for cape books. No, every comic, every story needs a powerful foil, whether it's a hero book or a romance book or anything. There needs to be real stakes, real emotion, real threats. You don't put, you're not going to put Jaws or Dracula. Well, you would put Dracula in a romance book, I suppose, but you need real threats, and Hickman is bringing real, serious, heavy hitter threats. And it's always weird to me that you have these comics with superheroes that are invulnerable, that can take all kinds of damage, that can lay out huge punishment and do amazing, fantastical things, and yet we soften the villains. I mean, if anything, the opposite. The heroes can take it. So throw the biggest threats you can, and that's what Hickman's doing here. This whole sense of kind of impending dread and doom. Many X-Men writers in recent days have attempted to do this stuff and have failed, and Hickman is definitely pulling it off here with some real sense of danger. Basically, the distraction is done. The X-Men are defeated. Krima, or what looks like Krima to me, has stopped them, and Zorn basically pulls off his mask, throws a black hole, and just annihilates everything. This has the effect of buying Apocalypse and Wolverine just a few more seconds, and they hand off the crystal to Wolverine. Apocalypse going to hold off Nimrod while Cypher brings a portal in. Nimrod then proceeds to just beat the living hell out of Apocalypse and end him, while Wolverine returns to kind of the stasis chamber, if you will, back in the X-Men Apocalypse headquarters, locates Moira, reinserts the data, basically the data on Nimrod and how Nimrod came to be and where this threat came from, gets it integrated into Moira's personality, and then because we've got to reset the timeline for her, kills her. And the best, this is what you do, and she dies. It resets the timeline, and thus ends the ninth life of Moira X. And that brings us to today. So that explains why Powers went issue 2 and issue 3, one right after the other. This was an important story to tell to kind of bring us to the current point. And now we see the stakes are even higher for what she has to do, her mission. Her time is running out. She's not going to get more lives. We're heading to the end of her power, or so we believe. So now she's got to get it right. And this is the ultimate stakes are high, and here we go. So, and we get the timeline again. One interesting part about the timeline is, we haven't seen we've got the 9th and the 10th highlighted there, and there's some things that are missing from the previous timelines. We'll leave you to discover, but there's a couple elements that are dropped. I don't know if that was dropped for space or for time, or if there's something to read into there. But now we're going to get House of X 3 and 4, Power of X number 4, and House of X number 5. So my curiosity is, where does Powers of X go from here? It kind of told its initial story now. And are we going to invest other timelines of Moira? How are we going to peel back this onion to learn a little bit more about what's happening? And keep in mind, of all this, we could all be in another kind of big faint. Again, this 12-issue series ends with Powers of X #6. Is everything we're seeing with Charles and House of X and all the stuff going on? Is this the current Marvel timeline? There's some increasing evidence suggests it's not. That Moira is going to die at the end of this 12 issues and enter into her final life, or is Hickman going to use this to build to his series, or is it going to put the genie back in the bottle by revealing that everything in this 12 issue setup was just investigating kind of how the X-Men mythology went with Moira at the heart of it? That would be interesting. It'd be a little bit of a potential downer. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it's some big things are happening in these comics that are going to be a little bit hard to kind of unwind and unpack and undo. And I've had the increasing feeling that this series will end because it's ending with Powers of X, and Powers of X is now kind of laying itself out as showing the end of Moira's lives. If the current Marvel universe, the one we've been living in, the one that's gone on all along, is actually Moira life #11, and what we're seeing in the comics is Moira life #10. And so, in one way, none of it really matters because the Marvel Universe is the next step. And the only thing that matters is now we have Moira running around with this additional knowledge. What's she going to do with it? But it begs the question of if anything we're seeing right now is actually real or one life back. And I think that's a good question to ask. But overall, I mean, Hickman's telling a very exciting, very engaging story. It's definitely got readers interested. People are wondering where it's going to go next, and it's a powerful story. And I think it's definitely worth picking up. It's going to make an amazing collected volume. And this issue, I mean, none of these issues are standalone issues. There's absolutely no way you could read this and not pick up the other issues. You're either in for all of it or not. And I think even like Hickman, said you could just read Powers of X or House of X, but it really probably, I think he even went back on that, like it wouldn't make any sense. You need to read it all. And the reality is you do. I think I can't begin to imagine what it'd be like to read just one series of this or the other. It just, I don't know. It would be very odd. I'd love to meet the person who it's like, yeah, I went for one, but didn't feel the need to get more. Part of what Hickman's done here is really giving you the drive to want to read more and create that urgency. I mean, everybody wants to see what's going to happen next. So what's happening next? But anyway, good issue. Nice. It's wonderful again to see solid, good storytelling from the House of Ideas. And this is a dangerous, feel like the stakes are high book. And it is. So that's my opinion. What do you think? Did you read it? Did you like it? Leave some comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. But otherwise, thanks for listening.